What is going on, everybody? Welcome to another Keepin It EPL. And boy, do we have a lot to talk about since the last time we've had just a flurry of games for the last week and a half. And it doesn't get any easier the rest of this month, Matt Selz, does it?
No, this is the packed month of December for the Premier League. Not only do we have the normal, uh, you know, festive matches, if you want to call it that,
Mm-hmm.
right? The festive match schedule. Um, it's a pretty heavy time for Champions League and Europa League. Quite
Yeah.
a few of those games. There's a Carabao Cup quarterfinals coming up,
Oh boy.
and then at some point in early January, you get FA Cup starting.
And a transfer window that should be interesting this
And a
year.
transfer window that's now going to be loaded based on how teams are doing and some reactions to how teams are doing and some outcries from fans and whatnot. So yeah, loaded talking points today for Keepin It EPL.
Definitely. So obviously, Man City, their woes kind of continue. We've been talking about it nauseum for the last few episodes. You know, they lost to Liverpool. Then they kind of got on themselves on your Nottingham Forest and looked the part 3-0. And then they totally crapped the bed on a draw with Crystal Palace at Selhurst Park. And it's over for them. I mean, there's no title hopes for them.
And now they have to beat PSG in order to stay in the Champions League.
Yeah, that's going to be rough sailing for them.
Because they allowed 2 U.S. men's national team members to put in a goal against them for the first time ever in Champions League.
So, and Liverpool in Champions League, I mean, they're pretty much booked for the straight to the quarterfinals. They've not been beaten yet. They did get a draw to Newcastle. That was quite exciting, 3-3. They should have won that game. They had every opportunity, but they let in the third goal from Newcastle at the end. And but then I'm like, okay, they have Everton next. Oh, wait, no, they don't, because of a weather delay. And they delayed the whole game. The whole game has been delayed. So it's still 2BA right now, or 2BD, TBD, I guess. To be announced, to be determined when that will be. But this just means everybody else will have that little game advantage over, or I guess Liverpool has the advantage, really, a game in hand, right?
Right, because they still have a monster lead at the top of the table, and they have a game in hand, and it's against a team that much longer in this season is probably going to be battling relegation, who's also fighting another points deduction because somebody scratched an itch the wrong way, I guess. Still can't find goals, doesn't have money to make transfer window moves. Yeah, so kind of a good spot here for Liverpool.
And this was everybody's chance too, right? To get some points on them. Arsenal had a big win, and then what do? They go and they draw at Fulham.
Yeah, they drop points.
But one team that we talked about the last episode, who I said people need to watch out for, against your Tottenham Spurs. Big win for them, and now they're in the driver's seat in the second spot all alone. And that is Chelsea, who are playing a threat. They're playing fantastic football right now. They are playing fantastic football, and they're scoring a ton of goals. But the one thing I wanted to talk to you about was that game.
Yeah.
That 4-3 win for Chelsea. Tottenham. Overall, we talked about the roller coaster that has been Tottenham all year. That game is literally their whole season in one game.
Yeah, it's a microcosm. For sure.
Thoughts on that and your coach there?
I don't know anymore, man. I don't know. I was listening to a podcast, the Athletic FC podcast, earlier this week, had a whole 47-minute episode dedicated to Ange in or out at Tottenham. That was the whole thing. It was making points on whether he should be in, whether he should be out. And after listening to it, basically everybody's just like shoulder shrugging. Like it's, who's the greatest NBA player? Like there's a debate, right?
Yeah.
You're either on one side or you're on the other, and nobody ever switches sides. And there's not one stat that you can tell me that'll switch my side because my stats to me make more sense. I don't know. I mean, Tottenham played well enough to win that game.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Had they not fouled Chelsea twice in the box, making 2 stupid, really dumb fouls, one of them probably should have been a red card, then you don't put Cole Palmer on the line, on the spot twice to do what he's done better than anybody else in the history of the Premier League. Nobody else has ever gone 12 for 12 in PKs in the history of the Premier League, which is what Cole Palmer's up to in his career. And made the Tottenham keeper look just flipping silly on the second one because he just dribbled it like.
I think I read a stat on Cole Palmer. I think he's the first player ever to kick 20 penalties and make them all.
I think he's 12 for 12. That may be in all competitions. In the Premier League, he's 12 for 12.
12 for 12. Okay, yeah.
But yeah, like you can't give that guy 2 shots from the spot. He's going to make them. There's 2 free goals. That just erased your. And then, by the way, Tottenham also holds the record for most 2-goal leads to not get a result from in Premier League history.
That's also been a theme this season for almost every team. It's happened a lot.
That was their 11th loss in Premier League history after having a 2-goal lead at any point in the game.
Wow.
So
I thought it was over. I was watching some of it. I saw they were up by 2, and I was okay.
Yeah, one of those games. Son missing the third one in the second half totally changed the complexion of that game, because if you equalize there, then Chelsea has to totally change the way they're playing. They can't make the subs they then go on to make, whatnot. But it's not the games against Chelsea that give me pause for concern about Ange. They seem to get up for the teams they're supposed to get up for, right? They've beaten Man City twice in like 10 days.
Yeah.
They got up and played well against Chelsea. They get up for, Tottenham gets up for Arsenal. They didn't get the win, but Arsenal didn't even score. It was an own goal. So technically Tottenham's the only team that put the ball in the goal in that game. They get up for the big teams. But then they go and have stinkers against Bournemouth and Ipswich and Crystal Palace. And now we got to go play Southampton. This game scares the bejesus out of me.
Yeah, no, Southampton too. Another team that's been playing very interesting. Yeah, they've been terrible, but their stats say they can be better than they are, right?
And I get that there are injuries. Clearly.
Yeah.
A lot for Spurs, right? 2 center backs are going to be out for the rest of the month. Maybe longer.
That hurts. That's the middle of the defense.
Davies, especially Van de Ven, the fastest player ever in the Premier League, who's your main center back. They don't make replacements for that guy. So, their top keeper's out with a broken ankle. Who knows how long he's out. Odegaard, 19-year-old, who was showing promise, just got a second surgery for an injury that 19-year-olds don't suffer. Richarlison is still injured.
I mean, there's a lot of injuries on this team, and their depth is being tested, and that's the biggest issue. The biggest issue is not having your 2 starting center backs. I mean,
that's changed the discussion to, well, has he gotten enough depth and enough help from ownership? I don't know. I don't know all of these Twitter folks seem to know the ins and outs and workings of the manager requested this guy and Daniel Levy gave him this guy. And I'm like, are you so sure that you know that? Or were there a bunch of extenuating circumstances that you're guessing that because we didn't get the guy who you thought we were going to get, that now it's Levy's fault? Like, I'm pretty sure Ange handpicked a lot of these guys that you now have a problem with. So, I don't know. I think it boils down to this. Tottenham's never going to spend enough money to flat out outspend Liverpool or City or Chelsea or Arsenal, right? They're just not going to.
See, actually, Liverpool is like 4th or 5th on that list. They aren't spending as much money.
Well, the last couple, but like under Klopp, they doled it out.
Yeah,
we'll see what the January window holds.
And how much money are they going to give Mo Salah to stay or let him leave? That's going to be something,
right? Trent Alexander-Arnold's going to take some money to have him stay.
Correct. Although they have a direct replacement for him. Yeah.
Right. So, Tottenham's never going to spend that much. They're the big 6 club because they're in London, but they never spend that much. So they had a good creative.
They've developed, not recently, but a few years ago, they were really good at developing young players.
Yes. Yeah, they got in on Harry Kane very early, and that panned out, right? You got on Son early, and that's panned out. Now they're trying to do that. They have Archie Gray. They have Bergvall is there. Odebear, when he was healthy, was going to be the next guy. They have a Korean guy coming in this in January. They're trying to sign apparently a new 17-year-old I just saw. So they're trying that. But the problem is that doesn't fix now. And so if you believe that Ange is the guy, then let him stay. Give him a couple of years to develop the talent under him, get a deeper squad. But my main concern is it's a house of cards system, right? If one thing doesn't go right, the whole thing falls apart and they're in trouble. Van de Ven's not there. You can't play an effective high line. Your defense goes to crap, puts pressure on the offensive side, which hasn't really delivered. And so now you're in this, let's just run up and down the pitch and not actually score type thing, which doesn't help anybody. And then the other problem is if you let him stay long enough to get his players and prove it doesn't work. Now, when you go hire the next guy with a system that's entirely different, there's a much larger hole and rebuild that you now have to sell the team, the fans on, who have been telling you for a while that this may not work, right? That's why I kind of liked Amarim's appointment to Man U, because he is a plug-and-play guy. He has a system, but it's not so wildly out there that you need the fastest left-footed center back in the history of the Premier League to make it work.
Yeah.
Right.
And more on him later, because that's one of the most interesting matches of the weekend. Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm watching Tottenham. We'll see what happens. I'm more invested in Forest at this point because Tottenham is just a dumpster right now.
Well, let's go over the table after the last run of games here. And a lot has changed.
Yes.
Liverpool is at 35 this is what's catching my eye, with a goal differential of 18. Yes, they need to play one more, and yes, that is against Everton. But right there behind them now is Chelsea at 31. Yes, we know Liverpool has a game at hand. If they win, they'd be up 7 points. I get it. But it's only 4 right now, and Chelsea's goal differential is 17. Because they've been doing nothing but scoring goals.
I think only either Barcelona or Real Madrid are the only other team in Europe to have scored more goals than Chelsea this year.
Yes, I was also going to say that they are now leading the Premier League in goals scored with 35. You know who's second?
I believe it's a tie with Arsenal and Liverpool.
No, the most goals scored. This year, 35 is Chelsea. It's a tie. It is a tie for second. Tottenham and Brentford.
Brentford, yeah.
Brentford. They've been going on a goal scoring run lately.
Brink not being talked about as a guy to replace people?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, Brentford's doing a fantastic job this year as a team.
4 points. They are 4 points out of the top 4 right now.
Correct. And they're playing fun football, and it's fun to watch them play. And they've been a surprising team. So, 31. However, the goal differential is only 3 because they also
have a lead. Cat is just a feisty mood.
He's feisty for Ange, is what it is.
Hi, Penny. You want to say hi? There you go. There's the
say
cat.
Hi.
You can go bye-bye.
But Brentford has given up 28, so that's, they're leaky. But, man, the last 5 for Brentford is 3 wins, a loss, and a draw. And if they continue that the rest of the year, way exceeding expectations for sure. So do I think they're going to sneak into the top 4? No. Top 5? Probably not. But maybe that 6th spot, because Aston Villa.
I don't know. Look, the top 3 I think are pretty clear right now.
Yes.
I think it's either, or I think this is the top 3. It's going to be some order, and I think it's probably going to finish the order it's currently in. But Liverpool, Chelsea, and Arsenal are the top 3.
Yes. I would even put Chelsea 2A to Arsenal 2B. I think they're playing better football. They're the better team.
Yeah. I mean,
that Chelsea-Brentford game this week is going to be off the chain.
It's going to be insane.
Over on goals scored in that one.
But then the battle for 4th is like, who wants to take it?
Yeah, it's
Man
there.
City is trying their darndest to give it away.
Yeah, they sure are.
Nottingham Forest look good. Now they're kind of coming back down to
3 losses and 2 wins.
3
in the last
losses
5.
in the last 5.
Yeah. Aston Villa now 2 straight wins after their sluggish form.
Correct.
So they're back.
Tied with Forest, same record, just behind by 1 in goal differential. They play this weekend in a 6-pointer. Brighton, they have their moments, and they have their moments where you go, they're still not a top 4.
Another interesting matchup to me this weekend is actually the Brighton Crystal Palace matchup, to see how Brighton performs in that one. And that will tell me a lot about that team.
Yeah, because they're coming off a draw in a game they should have
won. Yes.
The
Crystal Palace just drew with was it Arsenal?
With Man City.
It was Man City. Okay, yeah, Man City. So
yeah, they drew Man City. So
who did Arsenal draw with? They drew with someone too. I was just
Fulham?
on it. Fulham, that's right. Man.
Yeah, a lot of London.
So Liverpool draws, and everyone's like, "Here we go!" And then Arsenal and Man City do the same thing. Now Chelsea got away with it. They should have lost against Tottenham.
Should have.
But here we are.
But Tottenham is Tottenham.
Yeah, I have to scroll down here. Oh, they're 11th now.
Yeah, they're 11th. Yeah, that's not
only 20. Okay, this is for Tottenham to have only 20 points through 15 matches is
terrible.
Is terrible. Yeah, that is not the level. Man United has 19 through 15, only 1 point behind, and Man United have switched coaches and not been good this year. That is crazy to me. So maybe,
for all of the heat that's on West Ham's Lopetegui for not being any good, they're in 14th, and they look every bit of a 14th place team.
Yeah,
they're like, hey, the next loss, this guy could lose his job. Why isn't that heat on Ange?
I'm if it continues, it's going to happen. I mean, he can't go the whole.
If he loses to Southampton, he's going to get canned.
Yes. I mean, if anybody loses to Southampton.
Well, let's see. This is a pivotal. It's a pivotal week because they have Southampton, and then they play Man U.
Yeah.
In the quarters of the Carabao Cup, which is basically the only trophy Spurs can realistically maybe challenge for this year. Maybe, but like Liverpool's still in it, Arsenal's still in it.
Yeah, there's a lot of big guns still in that one.
Like there's still teams that can knock off.
And Liverpool's so deep that they'll just run their young guys in there and still run away with it.
Right,
like it's
so if he loses to Southampton or doesn't win versus Southampton and then loses to Man U, you got to think he's gone. Yeah,
definitely. Now, if he beats Southampton, then loses to Man U, probably not. But if he loses to Southampton,
the Southampton is just doing what you're supposed to do. Losing to Man U knocks you out of.
Southampton has given up 31 goals this season and only scored 11.
Yeah, well, that'll change.
Now, if they take advantage of those 2 center backs missing for Tottenham, it's going to be something to behold. That is, for sure. So, yeah, but back at the table, I just talked about it. Aston Villa, 2 good wins in a row here. They do have Nottingham Forest next. It's going to be a tough game for them, but they're right back in the fold here. Brighton, Bournemouth, very surprising team this year, in 8th currently with 24 points. Nothing crazy about them. They're just putting in results. They've won 3 straight. They're not scoring a lot of goals. They're not giving up a lot of goals. They're just kind of winning or drawing and staying in it. Do I think it could last the entire season? Probably not.
Don't think so. Unless they get some serious help in January.
But they should be safe out of relegation as we get to January no matter what. And they were a team that we thought would maybe be down there. Brentford in 9th, we just talked about. Fulham in 10th now. I think we've seen who Fulham is this year. I think Bournemouth and Fulham are literally Spider-Man memes of each other.
Yeah, I would agree.
They're the same team. It's crazy. Like you're watching them both. It's like, am I watching Fulham or they're even the same colors? It's something about those teams. It's like when they play each other. Oh boy, going to be a snooze fest. And there's Tottenham we mentioned at 11, Newcastle at 12, Man United at 13th. They have a big game this week. Oh man, we'll talk about that last. West Ham United 14th, Everton at 15th. Again, they have a game in hand. with Liverpool, but you could expect that to possibly be a loss or a draw at best for them. Leicester City, with a new coach, seeing with 14 points, Crystal Palace at 17th and 13. And now we're starting to see this kind of diminish here for a lot of these teams, because now there's a 4-point gap between Ipswich and Wolverhampton Wanderers, and then of course Southampton. You could pretty much kiss
they're done.
Premier League goodbye.
They're not surviving.
They're not. They have 5 points through 15, and they're 4 away from 19 and 8 away from out of the relegation in general. So at this point, I think this is the first time we could say something about this, Matt. We're going to say it. Southampton, you gone. Bye-bye.
5 points out of 15 games is on pace for not good, like 12
points. Yeah.
12 and a half points.
And that even when it get them to 17th currently.
Correct. Now, there is a huge matchup here at the bottom of the table this week. There is a 6-pointer this week.
There is a 6-pointer between Ipswich and Wolves. Correct. That's going to be a big match.
If one of those teams, like if they draw, that's not going to help them because
you have Crystal Palace.
They're already 2 games back at Crystal Palace, basically, right? Because there's a 4-point gap. So you need results in 2 straight games, and you need Crystal Palace to not have any results to clear Palace.
Correct. And Crystal Palace has a tough matchup this week as well. They are playing Brighton.
Correct. Ipswich needs to get a win at home. Too. They're the only Premier League team that hasn't won at home yet. They were in line 2, and then they gave up the lead in the 87th minute. And here's the other thing. If Wolves lose to Ipswich, does Gary O'Neill get fired?
Yeah. I mean, no. A lot of people pick them to be a relegation team. A lot. I actually picked them to be 17th.
I know, but they finished mid-table last year.
Yeah, but they lost so much in the offseason.
I know.
That's what sucks about teams like the Wolves, and they go mid-table. Like the same thing's going to happen to Brentford this year, maybe even Nottingham Forest, is their players are just going to get taken from them and go to better clubs. And then they just take the drop, and this is exactly what the Wolves are going through.
Well, perhaps. I don't know. Forest has a lot of cast-offs from better clubs.
Maybe they can hold on. And Forest, believe it or not, has money to spend.
I mean, Forest got Gibbs White from Wolves.
They were once one of the biggest soccer clubs in the world for a while, and then they had some issues, a lot of issues. A lot of issues. And then they dropped all the way down to the bottom.
Yes.
League and had to work their way up for how many years?
Before they got back, they were out of the Premier League, I think, for 22 seasons.
It took them 22 seasons from that huge fine and getting dropped to the bottom to come all the way back.
Yeah.
So they have money. And this is one of the biggest teams. Now they need to update their logo now that they're back, because their logo is 30 years old or longer. But here we are. But teams like Wolves just don't have it, right? They can't offer Jota money to stay. No, he went to Liverpool. Jimenez, he left. Neto.
Kuna looks like he may be gone in January too.
Yeah, it's just they can't do it, and the rest of the team just isn't good enough. And that's what we're seeing this year with Wolves. And their defense is absolutely abysmal. Like they cannot stop. Do they have a clean sheet yet?
They've allowed 38 goals, so I don't think so.
Jesus Christ, Wolves.
I think that's easily the most.
Okay, so according to
easily the most. The next closest, I'm pretty sure, is Southampton at 31.
Oh,
it's a whole Chelsea game better than worse than Southampton.
Now that we're 15 weeks in, we actually have some good data and Opta match data that has predictions percentage-wise for these matchups, because we're 15 in. So this is huge, right? So for that game, the Wolves have a 49.2% chance to win, according to all the data and Opta data that we've had for the way they've been playing against similar teams, at home, away, all that. And Ipswich has a 26.4% chance, with the draw being a 24.4% chance because of here. So you're telling me Wolves pretty much have a 50% chance to win, with a draw or Ipswich being 25-25. So yeah, maybe you're right. O'Neill does get fired if he doesn't win this game, because on paper, they're the better team. They have the better chance.
Are they favored?
I'm just going off of the Opta data now that we have it because we're 15
I'm just
weeks
curious if the books have Wolves favored because I didn't actually look.
I'm sure they are. If Opta's telling us they're a 49% chance to
Wolves
win,
are minus 105.
So they're barely on the side.
Yeah, but the tie and the away are the same odds. They're both plus 280.
Yeah, which is what I'm seeing here. So This is pretty close to. So Vegas must be using this too. I bet they are now.
They're pretty good. By the way, Arsenal's minus 450 over average.
Arsenal has a 72.7% chance to win, with the draw being 16.7. Everton has a 10.6% chance to win this game, and that is the lowest of the week by any team not named Fulham or Leicester City.
I mean, those odds tell you too, because like Leicester is plus 900 money line, Fulham is plus 900, Everton is plus 1400.
Mm-hmm. Let's see, and let's go over some of the interesting ones here. Any away teams who actually have a better percentage of winning this week? There's one. There's one.
Guess Villa.
It is not. Villa is actually 36% chance to win, with 9 and Forest being 37.3%. So close, with the draw being 26.7. That has draw weight.
Take a wild guess as to what those lines on that game are.
Probably similar to what I just
Forest
said.
plus 165.
Yeah.
Villa plus 170.
Yeah.
Draw plus 240.
Vegas is using this data. They're using this data now that it's out. I love it. The only away team that's favored is 51.7%, and that is Tottenham to Southampton.
They're minus 140 compared to Southampton's plus 340.
Mm-hmm. So this is a very interesting tool. If you guys want to use it, you could go to theanalyst.com and look up Premier League there. Look for the Opta match predictions. They take all the info, everything from what's happened so far this season. They have injuries, everything you have based on starting 11s and everything to put this in. And it seems like Vegas is using it too, because these is right on to what they're giving us as far as odds. So
they're pretty close. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a good tool to use. I like it. I'm glad I found it. And I'm glad we're 15 match weeks in, going on 16 where we could use it.
Yeah. Is Chelsea the highest chance of winning?
Highest chance of winning is Arsenal at 72.7. Chelsea is 64.5% over Brentford.
Let's see, Chelsea is 67% chance, so they're fourth best.
Yeah, you have to give Brentford a little benefit because they have been putting a lot of goals lately. But yeah, Arsenal is at home. They should cakewalk Everton.
They should.
Cakewalk. Liverpool's at home against Fulham, who's terrible on the road. They should cakewalk Fulham. They should. They've had extra rest.
Yeah.
And then now here's one that interesting. Newcastle here, 69.2% over Leicester City. I think that's too high.
I do too. Leicester is deceptively good defensively, and Newcastle can't score.
So Leicester has the second least odds percent chance of winning at 13.5, just behind Fulham. I think this is where this is wrong. But
you realize that Leicester has actually outscored Newcastle?
Yeah. And
Leicester
if you look at
21 goals and Newcastle's only got 19.
Yeah. And like Newcastle, they're a team that, if you look at their most recent form, wow, they scored 3 and tied drew against Liverpool. Well, then they lost. And before that, they had a draw and a loss. They haven't won in 5 matches.
The last time they won was against Nottingham Forest.
And Leicester has a win and a draw on their last 2.
I like to pick teams that help get people on the right direction here.
I kind of like this to be a draw or in Leicester's favor here a little bit. Just a little sneaky pick for you guys in this one, just based on what I'm seeing on the percentages and whatnot. So sneaky. Could be a sneaky one here. Everyone's thinking, oh, man, they scored 3 against Liverpool and drew. Well, look around that.
And there's just a bunch Forest and then lost 2-0 to West Ham.
And they recently got their ass handed to them. It was 2-0, but they lost badly to West Ham.
Yeah, it was gross looking.
West Ham was in control of that game the entire time, and that was at Newcastle. That was in the north.
Yep.
That was the first time West Ham had traveled all year out of London, and they went and they destroyed Newcastle. So let's be real. This is not a good team right now, and Leicester got a new coach. I can see this being a 1-0 win. So if you
Jamie
like,
Vardy looks like he's in pretty good form right now, which is shocking for a 39-year-old powered by Monster Energy drinks.
Yeah, nothing but the tall Monster Energy
Yeah.
drinks, the ones with the screw top, not the ones you know those ones. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
down
he
to them.
just smashes monsters and like cold meds before games, and he's good to go.
So I say that is my upset of the week.
That's your upset of the week?
Yep, I think Leicester has a good chance at upsetting Newcastle here. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I'm saying that's what I would pick in mine. Obviously, you could count the Man U game and Man City. Man City has a 57% chance to win that game, with Man United at 22% and Man City at 20.7 for a draw. So you could pick that one, but let's save that one for a little bit. Do you like Southampton?
I am deathly afraid of this game.
Okay, I thought you were going to say that.
I am deathly afraid of this game because this is exactly the game where it's like, okay, well, Tottenham got up for Chelsea and they played well enough to win that game, right? And then they had to go and travel and face Ange's old rival in the Scottish Premier League in the Rangers for Europa League and almost lost that game.
Almost did lose that game. Yep.
Had it not been for a very almost last minute bailout to get a point. And then, by the way, they're almost out of Europa League. Like they need points to not finish outside the top 12 in Europa.
Yep.
And they're thinking about, we've got, because the games coming up for Tottenham are not easy either, like in the league. Like they've got, after Southampton, they're home to Liverpool. Then they got to go travel to Nottingham Forest on Boxing Day. I mean, then they get Wolves, but then it's like Newcastle always plays them tough. Remember, they did not beat Newcastle earlier this year.
Yep.
So it's not exactly an easy run of games.
They need to make a statement that they need to win this game by a lot, and they need to make a statement in this one. They have to.
Yep.
I think Tottenham's going to win. I wouldn't pick Southampton. I'd pick Leicester to beat Newcastle way before I'd pick Southampton to beat Tottenham in this one.
Should Tottenham win this game going away? Yes.
Yes.
It should be like a 4-0 flipping beatdown.
Yeah.
But also keep in mind that Tottenham has won exactly 4 games this calendar year away from Tottenham. Just saying.
Yeah.
This feels like a bad game.
It does. I think they'll be okay, but it does. But it's only because you got a coach on the hot seat.
Oh, and you have to play Man U next week in the
correct
quarters of I know Carabao doesn't really count, but when you're Tottenham and you're looking for a trophy, and that seems to be the easiest way to get one.
It does.
That matters. Plus, the last time you played Man U, they had a different coach.
Also true. A different system.
Smoked him at Old Trafford, but that was one of the
everybody was smoking him at Old Trafford.
Yeah, that was one of the last hogs that he had. So
and then everybody was this year. If I had to do draw of the week this week, I think it would be the Villa Forest game.
Probably that has a draw.
It's Villa on the road. They just won 2 straight. It's Forest at home. It 1-1 with a Chris Wood goal and an Ollie Watkins goal.
I would flat out love to win and then get some gap between us and the
it's going to be a tough game for Forest because Aston Villa has been playing a lot better lately.
They are getting into form.
Yeah, and it's going to be a tough game. I think that would be my draw of the week if I had to choose one. So my upset is Leicester, my draw of the week is Villa, and my absolute annihilation of the week is going to be Arsenal not getting more than 3.
Freaking dog walking Everton.
Yeah, expect 3 goals in this one plus at home against Everton.
Am I going with who? I don't know. What counts as an upset? Can I say Ipswich is an upset?
Yeah.
I mean,
I'll give that.
It
is an upset. It would be an upset. Yeah, it's a close upset, but it would be an upset. I mean, they're 26.4% chance to win, so I'd give that. I think anything below 30% chance to win, I think we'll call an upset here.
Yeah, I would say that the form that Ipswich is in, I know it hasn't looked good in the results, but if you actually watch them, they are playing really good football. They are playing really well for about the first 85 minutes of a game.
Yeah.
And then they just got to hold things down.
Scoring goals has been an issue for them on offensively, but man, what a better matchup to get that going than the Wolves.
Yeah. They've only scored 14 goals this year.
Yeah, they're less than a goal a game.
Second.
Yeah, then it's not good.
Worst. Only Southampton's worse.
Yeah, well, Southampton can't score.
And Crystal Palace and Everton also are at 14, so good company to be in. I would say Ipswich winning would be that. I don't know. I want to say Forest Villa is a draw in our pool that we're in that I have forgotten to pick games for.
Oh, I forget to. So annoying.
I picked games this week and I had that. That was my first draw.
Well, I get notifications for all the other sports, but not that one.
Yeah.
Get on it, sleeper.
I can't imagine Tottenham loses to Southampton, but
nah.
Who knows?
Nah. I like the Ipswich. I really do. I like the Ipswich upset.
Blowout.
I mean, blowout. You got your.
I think Man City blows out Man U
in the Manchester Derby. Yeah, good. We'll. I'm glad you said that because I wanted to save this game for last because obviously this is the biggest game of.
Although hilarious, some of the Sky Sports tweeted Man City's record in the last 10 games in all competitions, which they've only won once against Forest. And so it was LLLLLWL, and somebody quote tweeted it and was like, pretty sure that's a Welsh town.
I am Welsh. I get it.
I was like, not wrong.
All right, that brings us to the Manchester Derby, the biggest game of the weekend. Man City, I believe they're home, right? They're home against Man United. This will be at the good old Etihad Stadium. This game has not drawn since 2021. We've had a true winner each time. Man City last year won 3-1 and 3-0. The year before that, Man United won 2-1, but Man City beat them 6-3.
But that one goal for Man U was an absolute banger.
It was a banger. I remember that one. It was a banger.
It was an absolute banger.
This matchup over the years, typically you would think it's going to be a matchup that's, like when Liverpool and Man City play where it's low scoring, battle of the minds. No, this game has shown that goals will be scored. We haven't seen under 3 goals scored in this game in years. So I expect a high scoring affair here with a Man City team that needs to get right and a Man United team that needs to find its way under its new coach.
Correct.
So what's your thoughts on this one here?
I think Man City wins. I think they get right.
I think so too.
I think they've had about enough of all of this talk.
Well, Pep's definitely had enough. He's done with it.
Yeah, I think somebody finds something, and just playing your old, your rival who is coming in arguably on the front foot. Mm-hmm. I mean, I know Man U's lost 2 in a row, but
there's a lot of advantages here I do see for Man U. One is Man City. Man City has only 3 clean sheets in 15 matches.
Correct.
That is unlike the typical Man City teams we see.
Well, I mean, they're missing some of their center backs. Obviously, we've talked about Rodri is a huge thing. Foden not being good is a huge thing.
Grealish just being awful. Just coming in and running around for no reason.
They just got old and they need help and they don't have the backup.
Grealish just comes in, he just subs him in, and he just runs around. Never even touches the ball. What is going on here? But anyways, we've talked about Man City at nauseum on the show and their troubles. I think everyone knows their troubles. Even the announcers know the troubles.
It's so hard to say they're in trouble and then look at the standings and they're still in 4th.
Well, yeah, that's because they started the year so well. And remember, Haaland was scoring hat tricks at nauseum. Now he's tied with Mo Salah for most goals. Mo Salah has caught him. It's not like Mo Salah's been scoring more than 2 goals or 1 goal in matches.
Haaland has scored 1 goal in the last 4 games.
Correct. Because they're not feeding him the ball, and that's the issue. But
They're also trying, but there's no other threat there, so you can just double him and make him go beat you.
Yeah. So my dog is agreeing currently about all this.
See, we just got our animals are going nuts.
It's that time of year, man. You got Amazon coming, dropping off Christmas presents, and who knows what else is going on out there.
Yeah.
So.
But I think Man City. I think this is a hey, Amarim. You thought this job was going to be easy? Come face Pep in your third game at the helm of Man U and see how. Like, we've seen glimpses in games for Man City, and then they put it all together. When
Man U's lost 2 in a row coming into this game.
Yeah, we saw them put it together when Forrest didn't align properly. They just didn't play well. You still have to show up and give your best. If you give your best shot, you have a better shot now to beat Man City than you did previously. But if you show up and think, oh, all I need is my C effort, they're still Man City. They're still capable of beating a C effort side 3-0, right? Like, it's still possible. So I think Man City, I think Man City wins and then goes, see, look, we're still here. We still got to be contended with. And oh, by the way, the window's opening. Okay, we'll go get our pieces.
And that'll be an absolute big win for them too, because that will put them up 3 more points, where they will sit at 30. Actually, and if depending on the Arsenal game, we expect a big win there, but that only puts them 5 below Liverpool with the game in hand.
Correct.
If Liverpool were to drop points, but I don't think
Forest and Villa draw, they're 4 clear of the people chasing them.
Yeah, so it's a big one for Man City. I think if they draw or lose this game, it's officially over. Like I already gave Southampton my goodbye. I will give Man City my goodbyes next week if they lose this game.
Well, goodbyes for what? Like not being in Champions League? Like,
not winning. Not winning.
Like they're not
they're not in contentious to win the league anymore. It's clearly Chelsea and Arsenal and Liverpool, but Man City's still hanging on right now. They're hanging on by a sliver, and that sliver is their bitter rivals in Man United.
Here's my question: If they're within sniffing distance, by the time we get to the new year, we have seen previously just about every title chase that Man City has had. They have not been in the driver's seat.
Correct.
At New Year's. Right?
But not by this much. They haven't been down this much. And if they drop points again, it's over.
Well, I think they came from 9 points back 1 year, 8 points back 1 year to win. They are currently 8 points back.
Well, 11 if Liverpool has the game in hand.
Yeah,
they just can't match. What they're doing is they're matching Liverpool. First, they had that terrible run of form.
Just match. You have
to gain points.
But I'm saying
Liverpool they drew against a bad team.
If they win and Liverpool wins like we expect them to be, right? It's 38-30. It's 8 points
with a game in hand,
with 3 more games to go before winter, like the new year, and then we'll see what happens with the Everton, Liverpool.
But if they lose.
Yes.
Then we're talking, it could be up to 14 points.
Correct. But if they win, I'm just saying we have seen what Man City has done. They have started slow before, and everybody has said, this may not be happening. And then they close like an absolute hurricane. I'm not saying it's happening because their form does not suggest that in the least.
No.
This is the oldest, most injured Man City side we've seen of any of this run.
Yeah.
Because they haven't changed any of the pieces, so they all just got old together. And now they're out of their prime. So I'm not saying it's happening, but I'm just saying if they're in sniffing distance, you can't count them out based on what's done in the
That's why I'm saying if if they win, they're still on my list.
Yes.
But before we go, I want to ask you one more question.
Okay.
Maybe you agree with me. I already mentioned this, but I want to know your thoughts. Who has the best chance to overtake Liverpool and win the title? Chelsea, Arsenal, or Man City?
I think Chelsea.
I agree. See, a lot of people still have Arsenal.
Arsenal plays because Arsenal was so temptingly close last year, and now that Man City
2 years in a row. 2 years in a
row. Now Man City is looking vulnerable, and they were the block for Arsenal. But here's the thing: Chelsea is more malleable in what they can do than Arsenal is.
Yes, 100%.
Because they can plug and play. Their squad is so deep and so versatile that you can plug in. Their starting lineup looked. The only reason they gave up 2 goals was because Cucurella had the wrong cleats on. He slipped twice.
It's actually true. Yeah.
It's actually true. He slipped twice, gave the ball back to Tottenham just outside the box, and Tottenham capitalized.
I was reading that article and I was like, what?
Once 15 minutes in, he ran across the field, took his cleats off, threw them at the tech person like it was his fault, and then put his new cleats back on and didn't have a problem and looked way more threatening.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah. Now here's the thing. Oh, go ahead.
They took out their subs and put on 3 dudes who didn't start, but then made the team better.
Yeah.
And don't forget, they still have money they can go spend in January if they really want to go get a piece.
How much money do they have? I mean, well, they do have one of the richest owners, I guess, in the world. So,
I mean, the dude sold himself a hotel to get out from under the financial fair play.
They need to keep what they have because they've been trying this, and we're talking about Chelsea. They've been trying this for years. It's finally working. Nicholas Jackson is finally playing free in the middle.
Just let it gel.
Let it gel because it's working and it's working great. And they are arguably over the last 5 matches, they've been looking the best, even over Liverpool. So let it go. And Arsenal, they're more calculated. They have to play possession football. That's how they win. They choke you down.
They need their defense to work. They need their set pieces to score goals.
Chelsea can do that. Not as good as Arsenal, but they can also play that backyard type game.
Correct. They are sneaky physical,
and
they don't mind getting physical. Arsenal minds getting physical.
Yes, Arsenal has the coaching advantage. I'll give Arteta. I think he's a better coach.
I'm not 100% sure on that. Not 100%.
He has his moments, Arteta, where I'm just like, what the heck?
Arteta is out to prove he's the smartest guy in any room.
Yeah, he does have that smug face about him too. That he just always looks like he's so smug, and he says the dumbest things.
Maresca's like, I'm going to do whatever helps the team win, and I don't care if I have to go back on what I said. Arteta's like, I'm going to tweak this because you all said this wasn't going to work, so I'm now going to tweak it just to prove you wrong. And then
here's a PowerPoint on why. Here's a PowerPoint on why it did work. Yeah, I don't like looking at his face. That's for sure. He has a smug look on his face.
He is a punchable John Stamos.
Yeah, Chelsea, I agree. I've already said it. I think they have the best chance. I do still think it's Liverpool.
Also, teams were not prepared for them this year. I think teams were prepared for Arsenal.
Yeah, I can see that.
And so Chelsea has a little bit of the surprise. Now, we'll figure out real quick here if Maresca's really going to, if his magic's going to stay. Because usually you get about a 12-game window with a new manager that gets you the boost. And then we see what happens after that when adjustments are made. Like, look at Tottenham. Tottenham has not been the same since 10 games into last season. People figured out Ange. They literally have not been above a 10th place team since in the last 40-something games.
The 2 teams at the top of the table both had coaching changes.
Correct.
And we're saying they're the 2 most probably likely to win.
They're the deepest, best, most well-funded teams. So,
and Chelsea has a very easy schedule right now. Look at this.
Yeah, they had tough games early, and now this is kind of we're going to play the bottom half of the table side.
So any type of let up at all by Liverpool, and they have a tougher schedule. It's going to look interesting. Brentford, Everton, Fulham, Ipswich, Crystal Palace, Bournemouth, Wolves. That's their schedule until Saturday, the 25th, when they play Man City.
Yep. Who, by the way, is not Man City right now.
We'll see by January 25th. The next month, Chelsea should not lose any of these games. I can see a couple of draws.
They may be top of the table by the time they play Man
City. That's what I'm saying. It is insane. But then it gets tough for them. Let's be real. But
I know their last game of the season is a trip to City Ground.
Yeah, and they play Liverpool the week or 2 before that, which could be an interesting game.
They close with ridiculous games.
Yeah, they close at Nottingham, right?
Yep. Which is why, by the way, I am so glad that I don't have to worry about a relegation fight right now.
I know.
Because I did not want to have to play Chelsea on the last game of the season.
Man United, Newcastle, Liverpool, Everton, Fulham, switch there. So, yeah, this run in February is going to be what makes or breaks Chelsea when they have Arsenal. It starts late January with Man City, but then they have West Ham, then Brighton at Amex, Aston Villa at Villa Park, at home to Southampton. That should be easy. At home to Leicester, we'll see, but then Arsenal Chelsea game at Emirates. So that run right there for Chelsea is going to be their season. We'll see, because they may get some points on Liverpool, but then Liverpool has this tough schedule, then they have a cakewalk through January, February. So it's going to be interesting to see, but it's glad to see that we do kind of have some sort of title run here, because a couple of weeks ago we're like, man, this is over, right?
Yep.
So it's good to see. All right, man. Hope you enjoy your weekend of watching these games. I'm glad we have more data and analysis, because we're analysis nerds here on Keepin It EPL. And we'll be back next week with some more news and probably breaking news of Ange being fired. After they lose to Southampton.
Oh my God. Don't even put
and Matt Selz is just gonna rant for an hour long. No, they should win. Come on. 51.7% chance of winning this game. There you go.
Numbers ever stop Spurs.
Never. All right, guys, enjoy the games. Until next week. This has been Keepin It EPL, and you keep it EPL as well. Peace.